on. Do a hex. What's up, Handles?
I'm back, baby.
Agent 57. What is up, man? I haven't seen your beautiful name in a while. I hope you've been doing fantastic. Peaches just got up and tear-assed out of the office. I'm like, what's going on here? Yeah, man, it's been rough, you know. But we're doing all right. It's just it's weird because it kind of feels like being stuck in an episode of the Twilight Zone. This is the explanation my wife gave me, and I think it's very apt. And it's like, you know, like in the episodes of the Twilight Zone when things appear normal but they're not. Like you know something's wrong and you can't put your finger on it. That's pretty much how it feels. Kick it off. I just noticed the timer was done. What's up, everyone? Happy. Not called Easter Saturday, is it? I don't know, but it's Easter weekend, and I hope everybody's having a great Saturday. Holy Saturday, as Sock just yelled at me from the other room. So, happy Holy Saturday to everyone. I hope you'll have a fantastic Easter tomorrow. Hope wife's doing well. Such a tough thing to go through. Oh my goodness, tomorrow will be 420. Well, it's today for you, 57. But yeah, here in the States, we're still, we're still behind. We haven't hit Easter yet. But yeah, Sock, she's doing better. I mean, something actually I didn't learn till this whole event transpired is that one of my favorite aunts, the one I'm closest to, really. I didn't know this, but she had actually lost 3 children over the years in various stages of birth. And so I didn't know that until this whole event happened. It's not like it's something people really want to go talk about. And then not only that, I found out that each of my aunts, except one, had lost a children in a similar fashion. Not the exact same circumstances, but similar enough. And so it was weird because this is something that doesn't ever come up until it almost feels like it's like a secret club that you don't ever want to be a part of, and then you don't even know that the club even exists until you're a part of it. That's a bit how it feels like. So, but yeah, I said the biggest thing is like there's lots of times where things will just kind of be moving along, everything's kind of happy, and then you realize it's like, hey, there was supposed to be one other person here. That's the parts that are the hardest right now. So I've just been keeping up with trying to take care of the family, spend time with them. They actually went and spent the last couple of nights with their grandparents, and then came home spoiled, absolutely rotten. So tonight was the de-rottenification process. Let's see. A good thing is I left myself a little to-do note. We were going to add a reflection node to validate if a task was completed correctly. I think what we're going to do is this, as part of this validation step, is we're going to have Stinger actually render the answer for us. It's always good to get spoiled by the grandparents. It is for every once in a while. And so they haven't got to spend the night there in a long time. But they were just supposed to spend one night. They got to spend 2 nights. So they're doubly spoiled. So I had to kind of bust them out of that. Let's see here. I think I was doing that in Stinger. Enum, I think, is kind of actually up and running. Look at something. Hang on one second. Get logged in. What this error here is. Oh, I see what the error is. Sorry, I had to turn back on the screen. Oh, that's right. We got an error because the last time we ran this, we actually had an API overload from Anthropic. So I know you can't really see this. It's back here behind my big ass head. But what happened here is we were making API calls, and the API call errored out because of that. So eventually we will add in some error handling. I think one of the things I eventually want to do it's so ugly when I do it. If I resize this. No, it doesn't fix it. It doesn't fix it. Ew, yucky. We just look at the enum agent. Okay, so enum is coming through here. So enum, I think, is actually at a decent spot. I was thinking about something, believe it or not, and that is, I do like the way we do this stuff with nmap over in the recon agent, right? With the output formatter. The problem is, as I was thinking about this, right, if we come back and we do another successive nmap scan, it's probably gonna kind of mess it up a bit. I think it's okay for now. But what I was considering doing was, like, when we come through, we do the enumeration agent, we run GoBuster. What should probably happen is when GoBuster runs, we're going to take that information and we're going to merge that into basically the port that got scanned. So, for example, if GoBuster is going to be scanning the web server running on port 80, that's where we're going to stick the output. Let's see. I'm looking at setting up a home lab, but I don't know what hardware would be best for my networking. I don't want to have a crazy budget, and I also want to have all the bells and whistles. Should I get a switch from Cisco, or just stick with Netgear, or 2-link switches? I think from eBay you can find, if you really wanted to just kind of mess with networking. Let me see if I can find one real quick. Cisco 3560. Yeah, some of these old Cisco Catalyst 3560s, if I remember right, these are layer 3 switches. Let's see. Is the Cisco 3560 a layer 3 switch? Yeah, it is a 3560. So you could do, which is great, because you could do VLAN ACLs and stuff like that. And 3560s are pretty cheap. They're old, they're used in abundance, and so it would give you something to work. Yeah. Right here, I'm going to put the name of Cisco 3560. And so that would be one of the ways you could do that. One of the other ways you could kind of do it for free-ish is you could do your own virtual networking with GNS3. I never really had a lot of success with GNS3. It was very complicated to get set up, and I had easy access to the hardware, so it's just something I never really dug into. Okay, so in our note, I put something that what we wanted to do was we're going to put what's called a Reflexion actor into. Actually, I think this is going to probably be for the exploitation portion. Maybe we'll add this over into enumeration. I eventually do want to have this. The idea here is we take in some request, we create an initial response from the language model to execute some tooling, but then also we have another language prompt to the LLM that is a revision to it. We take that revised prompt and basically run it through here. The main thing I was thinking about for this was you run across a problem where when your context window in your language call gets very large, it misses the stuff in the middle. I've talked about this several times, but quick refresher. So say you've got just tons of lines. Don't tell me my pen died. No! Did my pen die? Yeah, I think it did. That is unfortunate. Well, anyway, what happens is whenever you are... I left that in the other room. Right. Well, oh well. I'll have to go charge the pen in a minute. What happens is when you run these language models and you've got a large context window, it misses a lot of the stuff in the middle. So one thing I was thinking about doing was chunking the context window and shuffling it. So maybe the context window, if it doesn't need to be linear, which a lot of times it's going to be tool output, right? So the tool output doesn't necessarily tell a story from start to finish. So maybe we take those chunks of the tool output, we rearrange and randomize the context window, and then we feed it through something like a Reflexion. So that way we make sure that as it's going through, we get all the various pieces of information. Finally, there's going to be something that's kind of like a a collator here at the end that says, hey, by the way, which kind of answer was the best, and rank them, and then we'll use that one. Hey, Soccer, what's up, bro? I was asking ChatGPT and Claude, but was saying it would be okay with an 8-port Netgear switch. I mean, yeah, you could get away with that if you're just doing very basic layer 2 stuff. But those 3560s are so cheap, and you can do layer 3 switching with them. So that's usually what I recommend people as a go-to for a home lab. Granted, actually, I've been considering looking at trying to build out a Cisco course on the YouTube channel, because the guy who was editing my videos actually was going through one, and he encouraged me to do it. So I don't know when I'm going to have time to do that. I am going to try and do that, though. So, and I thought about putting my own little special spin on it, like, hey, here's your CSENT for hackers. Like, here's what we're looking. So you learn the material, but then also you learn some of the security implications of it. Then you go through, okay, here's CCNA. So here's the next step of that, CCNA for hackers, and then just kind of build through that. I thought that would be kind of fun. It probably won't be for a bit, but it's something I'm thinking about doing. Oh, thanks, mate. Dude, this has been a really fun project to work on. What I think I ought to do is go through and rerun.
Fight the planet!
The planet. Hey, Band, what's up, man? What I'm thinking about doing is going through and rerunning the RootMe stuff. However, I need to go do a couple things. So first thing I do is I'm going to reestablish my VPN, and then I got to go get back in there and turn the box back on. Quit lying. There is a room called RootMe. I don't know why it does this every time. It kicks me out of the room. All right, let me go ahead and I'm going to start this machine up, and we'll see what happens with it. All right, so we'll give this just a minute, and then this will boot up. And then what we'll do is we'll run through and we'll watch what it's doing. Because last time we ran through this, it was running. Where is it? Here it is. It was running, but then when it got down to the enumeration agent, when it got to this port right here, this point right here, the output formatter, that's when we got all the errors. And we got an overloaded message from Claude. And I'm like, come on, man. So we'll just run it again. There is a way in here to do memory checkpoints. I need to read up on it more because I don't fully understand how the library does it. But what I'm thinking about doing is integrating the memory checkpoints into the recon agent itself. So every time the recon, anytime one of the agent nodes gets hit, so Stinger, recon, enumeration, exploit, post-X, the agent node itself, every time that node gets hit, do a memory checkpoint. So then we could then rerun it from that kind of same ideal state. We don't have to rerun the entire graph again. And I was delaying doing that because it wasn't such a big deal, but now even just having the recon and the enumeration agents has made it to where it takes time to sit there and watch it rerun. And then one thing that happens here is, I mean, this looks like it's a cool idea to like view the state, but eventually that state just gets lost in the logs here, so it's not super helpful. Let me look at something real quick. Oh, so it did an in-map service enumeration on here. Let me look at something real fast. I don't think I put this up here in the user stub. Yeah, that was all we had. The only task we sent from the user stub. But this task that we're sending here is we have it do a couple things. Scan the target and find out how many ports are open, what version of Apache is running, what service is running on port 22, and then use GoBuster to find hidden directories. That's what we're looking at. Oh, hey, Bandit. Thanks for the Prime sub, boo. I appreciate it. No, I appreciate all y'all. It's fun to hang out and just draw a bit. Close this up so I got a little bit more working room in here. Let's see. What do with this? Oh, we were waiting for the lab to boot up. That's right. All right, so I need to grab this, and then we plug that into our context down. Yeah. Boop. All right, so there's our context. grab a copy of this, and we'll start off the night by running the graph. We'll see how far it gets with the Go Buster stuff. All right, so let's go over to Stinger. Hey, there we go. And let's go ahead and set our start state. And I think we set it as node start. I think that's what we do. Let's see. Okay, so we're over here in the recon agent now. So recon agent made a request to the tool node. Let me zoom in on this thing. There we go. All right, so what did it ask to do? Oh, it actually came back and already finished it. So we're going to the output formatter. Did we get an error? Wait, what happened? Recon came back with an index out of range. What happened? Let me try this again. Let me start a new thread so it's not trying to increment on these. Let me try this one more time. Submit. Okay, so we built our task list. We pass it over. I probably should put a breakpoint on each of these. Like have it break before it hits the recon agent, but that's fine. We're working on something similar without the AI aspect for this. So far, in-map and GoBuster for DNS. I'm feeding in a scope like you might see in a bug bounty with an IP address and wildcard domains. Have you seen Bbot banned? Because I was working on something similar to that, and if you're doing it for fun, for education, that's great. But Bbot is an amazing tool. From Black Lantern Security. Yeah, I'm gonna drop this in the chat. But it's very cool. Essentially, it's very similar to AMAS, and in fact, I recommend running it in concurrence with AMAS because you get some stuff differently from the two of them. But what it does is it categorizes the inputs and outputs from all these different tools, and you can tell it which ones you're going to run, and then whenever it runs them, it goes through and it builds a very comprehensive picture. Yeah, it's a sweet tool. The hardest part is kind of like AMAS, is going through and setting up all your API keys. That's the biggest pain with it. So, in fact, they're claiming they get more than AMAS, but I've had AMAS find stuff that Bbot didn't. So, just for your mileage, Bbot was typically the only thing I would use for external recon. Occasionally, then, if I felt like I didn't have enough, I would go run AMAS. Oh yeah, they do make it a pain. There was, gosh, what was it? Let me see if I can find it up here. Do they have an example? No, that's not what I was looking for. There was somewhere in here, and I read it all in Docker too, because it made it super easy. Somewhere in here, there was a list of hey, here's the different APIs that could be configured. I think it was C99. I want to say that was the... API keys. Yeah, C99, if you're going to go buy an API key, this was the one that I got the most mileage out of, and it wasn't super expensive. I want to say it was $100 a year or something. C99 API. Let's see. Purchase an API key. Let me see how much it was. Yeah, $25 a year. And this was the one that I think I used. And this was the one that gave me a ton of mileage. The rest of them were all basically free API keys. So this would be the only one I recommend if you're going to use Bbot to purchase the API key. Right here, I'll drop that down. Yeah. Okay. Very cool. So let's go see. Now we kept getting an error for some reason. We got an index list range error. Let's see if we get any more additional information on that in the thread trace. Oh, for some reason it came back with our. So the last thing it came back is we look here, it says it was in the recon node, right? So recon comes through, and it was somewhere, for some reason, it was in output formatter. Oh, I know why. It's because it tried to. Yep, I think I know why. Let's step through this logic real quick of what it did here, because the recon agent assumes it's going to run a very more or less specific type of in-map scan there at the beginning. So what happens? Let me see if I can bring this up a little bit and make it a little bigger. Y'all can see it. All right, so we hit the start node here, essentially. Let me minimize these real quick. Okay, so this is Stinger, right? We hit the start node, we go to user input, it hits the initializer. So the user input only does two things. It checks to see, like, did the user supply input, and if not, it puts in a seed value, just for testing purposes. Eventually, this will be where we actually go through and we talk to the LLM. The initializer goes through and formats everything, so we'll see that here. So look, user input, it says, okay, here's what we're doing. We're going to set it to this. Initializer makes an LLM call to then create a list of tasks based on the list of tasks we gave it. So it structures them for all of our work that we're doing here and assigns them to an agent. Now, this is where it actually got kind of funny is what service is running on port 22, that got assigned over to Recon. So one thing we could have done is we could have done this a little bit differently. Maybe we make the Reflexion its own agent so that data can be passed from each of the nodes. Because here's kind of what it looks like right now. Here was the initial kind of concept, right? Is that Stinger was taking care of everything here. And then we had stuff go to Recon, then enumeration, then exploitation, then post-ex. Recon has some funny logic in it to kind of build a little bit of output from those in-map outputs. Not such a big deal. But what we could do is take this and we could add in another little agent over here that's going to be called like the Reflexor or something. Or we could just add it as a node to Stinger, one or the other. But essentially, it's going to be doing this job here. Where is it? This one, where it comes up and it says, okay, let me look at this and make sure it was done correctly. If it feels like the task was not completed correctly, then what we could do is we could mark the task as something different. Right now, we only have 4 states, but we could mark it as like a redo state or something and then pass it back down to the agent. That would be something we could do. Hey, Dante, what's up, man? Do I have a Shodan account? Got Lifetime a few years ago. Yeah, I got Lifetime a few years ago, too, when they were doing, like, a Black Friday sale. So, if you ever want to get one for, like, cheap Lifetime access on Shodan, definitely go grab it, like, on one of their specials. Though I think they're still doing the Lifetime access, and I want to say it was... Let's say it was only, like, 20 bucks for Lifetime access. Hey, welcome to the party, pal! The cake is a lie, Dante. Let's see. So, let me see exactly how this failed. There is one other thing we could do, and that is... So the way Langsmith is running right now, the studio, is we're actually running a server here locally. We do a little bit of port forward magic because this box is running on my server. So what we could do is, there actually is a way to attach a debugger to this, so when we hit debug points or it crashes, we can do that. I don't know how to do that in PyCharm. I'd have to go figure that out. So that is one way we could also kind of address this, so that when we get, like, a panic in the program, we could go catch it and see what's going on. But it looks like, from what I can see here, is that when it did the second... So what we did is we had our context of the target machine is this. We look at scan the target, how many ports are open. So we ask it to scan the target, see how many ports are open. So first thing we did is we did an nmap TCP port SYN scan, which is not exactly what I expected. But actually, no, I take it back. So that's what we have done. It comes through, does this, and then for some reason we got a list out of order. So I want to look at what was this LLM call to the recon node here, which I think was this one. I tell you what, I can see it exactly by clicking this button. Let's see. So if we come down here, what was our output? Wait, that's not right. What was the IP it used? Oh, what the hell is this? Did I typo the IP address? Is that what caused this? Am I just fat fingering it and causing all sorts of trouble? I sure am. That's not the IP address. Damn it. This is where the LangSmith traces come in super handy. Right, let me copy this again. 1010 161 134. 1010, not 110. That would be why. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll copy this again. And then we'll go rerun it. I was trying to figure out, like, this should have worked. This should not have been an issue here. All right, submit. So we hit the initializer. Now we're over in recon. It's going to make the tool call. And we're going to take it about 20 seconds. And it's using the same tool. Nmap TCP port SYN scan. Which is fine. It's going to take it about 30 seconds to do this scan. All right, so then we go to the output formatter where we pass the nmap output data over to it. And then now it's actually going to come kick it over to the enum agent. So it's doing service enumeration on port 22, which we actually should have already seen this when it happened. It should have actually got, and this is where I'm thinking the Reflexion agent probably comes in handy. Maybe after we do the output format, we have output pass it to the Reflexion agent. Because it shouldn't have done that. Did we not increment the current task? Because this says the current task is 1. I don't know, we'll let it run here for just a second and then we'll see what it does. Because what should happen is the current task should point to the index in the list of like which task it's currently. There would be a better way to do this also. Python ordered list. So we could sort it. I don't want to sort it like that though. What about an ordered dictionary? Let's see. Ordered dictionary in Python preserves the order in which items are inserted. Let's see. Collections ordered dictionary class is used for this purpose. Since Python 3.7 regular dictionaries maintain insert order by default, making the ordered dictionary less common. All right, so that might not be such a big issue. Because what I'd like to do is order it in a specific way for like making subtasks. That it should have been done here, I thought. Let's see. Service version scan. Actually, look at that. As we're watching it, it decides to run HTTPX for enumeration. Okay, something is definitely wrong because you see how it runs an nmap TCP port scan here to find open directories? That ain't right. All right, so we're back over at the Stinger agent. I think the run finished here. Yeah, it looks like it finished here. That is definitely not correct. Let's go trace it real fast and see what it's doing here. So if we come back over to the trace, let's see. So initializer creates our nice little task list, which is fantastic. So scan the target, how many ports are open, assigns that to recon, what service is running on port 22, sends that to enum. What version is running, what version of Apache is running. We get all that stuff. All right. So when we make our first call, our task is scan the target, how many ports are open. We give it the context of what the IP address is of the machine, and it says we're going to run TCP port scan. All right, cool. No problem. That stuff comes back. What happens if the target doesn't have HTTP or HTTPS running? Well, that's where this one comes in kind of handy band, and because what we've done is we took the questions directly from the box on TryHackMe. You know, because it's still very early development, so we're still working on this. So these are literally all the questions that are put on there. Yeah. I just left this one off for now. Yes, at the moment we're assuming it's open. Eventually what we'll do is, once it can kind of complete this box, that's going to get the 4 primary agents kind of in a running state. Recon, enumeration, exploitation, and post-ex. We're about ready to move on to the exploitation once we kind of get recon and enumeration tweaked out a little bit. Exploitation is going to be a pretty tricky one, and then so is post-exploitation. I think that one's actually going to be the hardest, because then we have to integrate with Mythic C2. So, but it'll be fun. It's going to be part of the challenge. So as this is running through here, it's just answering these questions, right? So after we get this, that's the tricky part of the whole thing, using outputs of one tool to make the decision to run other tools. Yeah, exactly. That is difficult. That's why I'm thinking about, we might go through and rewrite this a wee bit. Because what happens here in the recon agent is, so there's a host section in the context here. Actually, hold on, before I start getting into that, let me see what else it actually ran through and did. So it does an nmap TCP port scan here. Then we do a service enumeration, which is fine. Then we run an HTTPX tech detect in here, which is fine because this should tell us that it's running server 2429. Not a problem. We go to the output formatter. It chooses the standard output format, which is fine. So then we get our standard output format, which is the target, the IP address, the host name, and the output, which is all good. Then we come back to the enum agent here. And what was the task it was? Use GoBuster to find hidden directories. Well, okay, that's cool, except for some reason, the tool call that it makes is nmap TCP port scan. So this makes no sense because look, so the system prompt doesn't have any actionable data in it. Except it looks like I need to format it a little bit different here. It's missing a line return. That's actually not bad. But here's what we tell it. We tell it, you're a cybersecurity expert specializing in enumerating networks and computers. Your primary objective is to complete tasks defined below using the provided tooling and the context to provide answers. So if the answer is not in the context, use the provided tools to obtain the information to answer in question. So the responses should be question, the question being addressed, and the answer to the question. Responses for calling tools for additional information will follow an action and a reason format. So what do we get back from the LLM? We get an action and a reason. Check if the target is running a web server. Okay, that's not bad. So before using GoBuster, I need to confirm that there's a web server running. So one thing we probably could have done is we could have reformatted the host data and thrown that in there. So the host data is not part of the context. You see that? Our context is just that the target machine address is here. So one thing we could do is we could try that. I like that we said, did I do that the same way for the recon agent? Let me see. Let me over just a wee bit. Let me look at prompts. Where's our recon prompts? Let's see. So you're an expert cybersecurity agent specializing in this. Okay, so we don't do the same thing for enumeration that we do for recon, where we actually have it say, hey, you could answer the questions. So one thing we might want to do is... will it ping the machine to make sure the target is running? Yeah, it does do nmap first, like Band was saying. And so nmap by default will do those pings. Yeah. So if you're not familiar with how nmap has an entire what's called host discovery section in there, and by default it has two settings. If the machine you're scanning is in the same local subnet as you, it does an ARP for it. And if you get a MAC address back from the ARP request, then it assumes the machine's online. It goes through and scans. If it is on a different network segment, then nmap goes out and it does a ICMP echo, a ping. If that ping comes back, then it assumes it's online. That's why there's an entire section of switches that you can turn on to do different kinds of host discovery, because a lot of machines don't reply to echoes or pings. So actually I have that built out in here in RoboPages. Eventually I think what I'll do is I will take the RoboPages and I'll move that over into the GitHub repo. Tech PN all day. Dude, that can eat up a lot of resources though, Bandit, if you just assume that every machine's online. So the one way that I typically do this is, if I come down here, let me vim nmap.yaml, and I think it's host discovery. Here we go. So the way this gets done is these are some kind of custom switches. I had to disable this one for some reason. Let me break this down. For some reason, it was absolutely throwing a fit with source port 53. So that's why it's disabled right now. I haven't gone through and troubleshot it. But what this does is it does do an echo, but also it does a very quick SYN scan for 80443 and 3389. I forget what TAC PP does. Probably makes it happy. But then it also does a quick UDP scan of 161 and 125. And it does an ACK scan against 21. And when you and if you source port these from 53, all you're trying to do is you're just trying to get the machine to not drop the packet and to send some kind of response. When that response comes back, you know it's online, that you can actually start scanning it properly. I hate it when it tells me the host is down. I know it's not. Right. So later, what I would do for this host discovery here is I would actually run this against large sections of networks just to find out which hosts were online. I would then run those through a subsequent list with the TAC PN option as a little bit more efficient way of doing it. Yeah. Let's see. So everything's kind of working well in here. I like where it was going with that. Let's think about this real. So I like what it was doing because it said, hey, I want to check if the target is running a web server. This is good reasoning, but we could also have taken our previous scan data and put it into the context for that. So let's think about this. Let's do a little blackboarding over here. All right. So what we do is we start over at, oh shit, I forgot my pin's dead. F me. All right. But that's okay. We can walk through it here on the screen because we've got the trace over in LangSmith. So we start with initializer, it gets all the tasks set up. Basically, all this does, initializer, is it takes this human list of tasks and turns it into a task list for us to iterate on. That's it. And we put this task list in the context. We keep track of what the current task is that we're trying to work on. So then, once it realizes that, it orders these by agent order. And so the agents haven't ordered them. It's recon, then enumeration, exploitation, post-ex. As it runs through those, what we do is, as it runs through those, it starts with the recon agent. So that's why we always pass off to recon first. So when we pass off to recon, we make our first LLM call, which is, hey, we have a task. This is what we want to address with it. Scan the target. How many ports are open? Once this finally runs through, it does the nmap scan. We get our structured output from the nmap output parser. We then take this data and we go stick it over in... We take this data and then we go slice it up and we put it into our host structure in here. I'm trying to think of something. We might actually just be able to simplify this a bit, because currently what it does is it makes these kind of ordered lists. So everything at index 0, like in this case, is associated with the stuff on port 22. It's open, it's running SSH, and here's the version info, and then here's all the nmap script info right here. Here's the SSH key, yada, yada, yada. I wonder if we could actually reformat that so we don't have to do the post-processing quite so painfully. Let me look at something. Where's our output formatters? So for nmap, this is how we have it currently. We bust out all the stuff, and we have lists going on here. I don't see a better way to do that. So you can make a dictionary with the port, the key, and the dictionary under that with all the data. That's kind of what it's doing here. After we get done with it, I have to do a little bit more digging into Pydantic to make this work, because what we would see is that as we're structuring this data up here, we would actually be able to, we'd have to have this actually look at it a bit. Let's go look at Pydantic base models real quick. Let's go do that. Because if we can restructure this to look more like this guy here, let me come down a little bit. If we go to, I think we go to recon handoff, we might be able to see the state of it. Here we go. So this is what, oh wait, actually, I forgot I did that. I forgot we did that. But anyway, here's what the host actually looks like once it's done. So the host is a dictionary, and then we have the host name and the IP address here, right? They just happen to be one and the same in this case. And then the ports, like you said, each of the ports is a dictionary under here. Come to think of that, I think because of the way we defined the ports, we actually could make this work. Oh, let me see. I gotta see if that works. IP can be associated with multiple DNS records like a vhost. It can. We will get to that, band. We're starting simple. This is not even baby junior pen tester level. We're working on it, boo. You're jumping ahead in the plot. Hey, Sin, what's up, man? I was working on a cool project that I thought of threat intelligence in kernel to help XDR, which is all in user space. Dude, you're always working on really badass kernel stuff, and I wish I understood half of what you were talking about. I'm very interested, though, so keep it coming. I'm not going to learn anything by just ignoring it. Did I finish my drink? I did not. Rocking the orange Jockos again. Not sponsored by Jocko yet. I'm working on it, Jocko. Gotta fix my back first. Doctor says I need a bacchiotomy. All right. Let me look at something. Somewhere in here is where we actually go append all this data to the task itself, because if we look at our states here for our task, we actually do have an output right here. What are our usages for this? Well, that's used in states, but it's actually being used in other places. Let me look at something. That's our recon agent. I believe it's at the end of the output formatter. Yeah, here we go. So after we get our output nice and structured. Oh, we just took the raw output response and put it in there. So the host section actually may not even be worthwhile. I'm thinking... Here's kind of what I'm thinking right now. Is... Where is it? I'm thinking we make this this reflection node its own deal. We make it its own agent. And then the agent node will be responsible for marking something as validated, or maybe mark it as new again and clear the output. No, that doesn't make any sense. I'm trying to think, what do we do with the data if it goes to this, let's say, validator node or validator graph, and that graph says you're bogus, you're not answering the question correctly, or your output doesn't contain the question to the answer. What do we do? I'm trying to think, how do we reclassify that task, and then where do we send it? I like Falcon because it's a pretty strong EDR. Dude, it is. Yeah, every time I go up against CrowdStrike, I die a little inside. It's such a pain in the ass. Let's hang out if you're going to be at the Black Hat conference this year. I'll be there for briefings. I don't think I'm going to Black Hat or DEF CON this year. Typically, I only go if I'm teaching at Black Hat, and then I just stay for DEF CON. And I'm not scheduled to teach this year, so chances are probably not going, unfortunately. Which, darn, I don't get to go to one of the hottest places on the planet during one of the hottest months of the year. Darn. Yeah, I think what we'll do is we're going to implement Reflexion as its own. I was not expecting to go add another agent just yet. GoFundMe for Blaze to go to DEF CON. It's not even that I can't afford it, it's just that there's... well, actually, I kind of can't because I had a lot of bills pop up recently. But one thing I was looking at is... it's a rough time to go. Plus, a lot of people from my company do go because it's an offensive security company. So they usually have some kind of work scheduled during the time. Darn autocorrect on the iPad. My plan is to bust over CrowdStrike Falcon, showing much advanced threat intelligence for a specific use case and analyze the response from the OS. Dude, do it. Do it. I felt actually really bad for CrowdStrike whenever the whole CrowdStrike fiasco happened, because it's actually a really good EDR. They just had one, you know, as I like to watch these videos on YouTube whenever I get a chance, and it's this guy, he does examinations of plane crashes. And he always looks like, hey, this is the series of events that led to this plane crash. Because aviation should be fairly safe. But he has a perfect saying for that. He's like, this is where all the holes in the Swiss cheese lined up. And that was exactly what happened with CrowdStrike. It's not a CrowdStrike issue apart from negligence in all Windows kernels suck. Yeah, they do. Like, there's some stuff I cannot wait to, I can't wait to learn and then try to build in as, let's call them sub-agents into this tool. Because, like, for example, I still got Forshaws Windows internals security book I'm going through very, very slowly. But figuring out how to take some of that stuff and add it over into an agent for doing Windows post exploitation, that would be awesome. So the idea here is I'm hoping this agent is going to be kind of up and running by July, where like we have all 4 pieces set up and we've got the framework set up where we can come through and we can add additional graphs and kind of expand it. Because then as I learn new things, I want to go build them in and add them into it. So the next thing on my learning docket is, what is that? Azure. A lot of Azure offensive security, and then AWS. And so start adding those into it as well. Agents getting subs, I don't even stream. Did you get gifted a sub or something? That's funny. All right. Well, I was hoping to put this off a little bit longer, but as I'm looking through the tracing data here, we have the answers to these questions, right? So like, for example, if we look at current task was 0 because we're working on the first one in the task list, right? We marked the status as completed. We come over to the output and we look at it here. Yes. Stock loves me. She just brought me a batter because she's baking a cake for tomorrow for her family. Oh, and it's gluten-free. One of our my brother-in-laws has really bad celiac. Oh, that's good. I approve. 5 out of 7. All right, let's see here. I feel machine learning based agent threat hunting must be restricted in user space, but once it reaches kernel, it must be algorithmic to aid user space agents and behaviors. I understood some of those words, Sin. I did. Actually, I'll tell you, so one of the last engagements I was on where I was up against CrowdStrike, they've already integrated some machine learning or artificial intelligence stuff in there, like LLMs type things. And I'll tell you the difference between the two. Machine learning is a deterministic, still probabilistic, but a deterministic input, right? If you provide the same input to a machine learning model, you get the same output. Whereas for a language model, you could provide the same input and get a different output. And so still probabilistic, but the difference is one of them is probabilistic and deterministic, which I know sounds kind of conflicting, but the probabilities have been structured by the input and trained on it. When it comes to a language model, it doesn't work the exact same way because of the way it cascades through the neurons or through the various links in there. Yeah, it'd have to be supervised trained and not generative like. Yeah, exactly. God, it is so hot in Texas right now. It's actually not really that hot. It's just humid as oh, get out. Let's see here. I'm trying to think how to pass this off. Let me look at something in the code real quick here. Because when we get done with this, bring this down. So here in the recon router, we look to see if the last call was a tool node. Otherwise, it's going to go to recon handoff. When we hit recon handoff, what we do is we go to the graph, and it's going to be command.parent. So I'm trying to think, how do I hit a graph in a different way? Because I don't necessarily want to go to the parent. Where is this thing defined? This is one or more commands to update the graph state and send messages to nodes. This is LangGraph types. Let me go look at the source code for that real fast. Let's go take a look at that. I can't type. I'm high on chocolate right now. LangGraph types command. Not what I wanted. Actually, here we go. Looks like they've got a blog article about it. So agent and multi-agent systems are all about different components of the system that can communicate with each other. We spend a lot of time thinking about the best infrastructure and development experience for facilitating this type of communication. So we're going to announce Command, a new tool in LangGraph to more easily facilitate multi-agent communications. Let's see. So our agent framework LangGraph is powered by an event-driven system. We expose graph-based developer experience heavily influenced by Network X. We used maps, we found maps nicely to developers' mental models of agents. So given the underlying event-driven architecture, we can easily add variants of this graph-based DevX. Let's see, LangGraph graphs have traditionally been represented as nodes and edges. This declares the architecture is helpful in mapping an agent's path visually. On the flip side, requiring edges to connect nodes can sometimes make it harder or unintuitive to express more dynamic logic. So in these situations, you want to be able to specify dynamically which node to go to next. All right, so then we have command, which is edgeless graph. So with this in mind, we're executing a release of the command in LangGraph. This is a special type that when returned from a node specifies not only the update to the state, but also which node to go to next. So this allows nodes to more directly control which node are executed after the fact. So yeah, we've seen this. We've seen the command return. This can be returned by any node. The type hints on the node can let the graph know which nodes can possibly be executed next. Oh, okay, the type hints on the node can let the graph know which nodes can possibly be executed next. I have not done that, so... here we go. Okay. So we could do this. Command literal, and we tell it which one's going to come back. Actually, I kind of want to go do that real fast. Because one thing that's been bugging me a little bit is here inside the studio, right? We don't necessarily see that Stinger will go up here to the start node for recon or the start node for enumeration, right? Let's see if I can do that real fast here. Let's see. Yeah, so we just do it as a type hint right here. This will be a literal, which we have to go import. Oh no, where do we import literals from? From typing. That's what we did it. And so we do want end in here. Let's see what this. So this is going to be a little bit different here. What was the name of that node we just had? Hang on one second. Let's see. Where's our Stinger agent graph node? Add a node user input. So it should be Stinger agent. Drop that in here. I want to see if this will actually work over in the studio. So it could either go to Stinger agent or in. Literal may be parameterized with literal ints, bytes, and Unicode strings, bools, enum values, none, or other literal types or type aliases to other literal types. Isn't that what we're doing here? Really, that's just Stinger agent. Okay, yeah, if we take the end off of that. I think the big one here, though, is what we want to do is we want to take this and then from Stinger agent is the one that's going to route over to the others. So if we come over to Stinger agent. Yeah, let me get put the type hint in here, and then we'll import literal typing. Okay, this doesn't go to Stinger agent. This goes to recon enum. So we'll go to Recon, go to Enum, and then we'll go to, what do we call it? Called it exploit and postx. Exploit, and then we'll do postx. Save. I wonder if this is going to rebuild the graph where I can actually see it over here in the studio. Create a new thread. Reload. Let's see. It's thinking. Application startup failed exiting. Hi. There's nothing wrong with this. Hey Eve, what's up? I was curious if you know any software that would encrypt keyboard input on a PC. Are you? Let me ask you a question, Eve. What are you wanting to encrypt? Like, why are you wanting to encrypt it? Are you worried about like man in the middle on the keyboard and somebody capturing with like a hardware keylogger? Oh, I'm out of Jocko. That's all right. I got water. I wonder why it said it failed. But let's restart the server. We'll see what happens. Why is it saying it failed? Found edge ending with unknown node stinger agent. Oh, okay. I think I know why. Let's see. Actually, because I think I'm hacked, I don't have the skills to fight it, so I'd rather have keyboard input secured at least. Not really. Eve, and the reason for that is because what's happening is your keyboard is probably connected over a USB connection. So that's just a little serial port that is sending ones and zeros up and down it. So your keyboard knows how to format those ones and zeros. Your computer knows how to format those ones and zeros. So if you were going to have something that was in the middle there, because that's what you'd be doing. There's nothing to really change on your keyboard itself to encrypt that data. What you'd have to do is you'd have to have some little hardware piece that you connect to your keyboard and then connect to your computer. In which case, if you're checking for that, chances are somebody's already, if they're plugged in and they're capturing something, you're just going to see it when you do that. But then also you would need some piece of software on your computer to then decrypt those, probably as a system driver. I don't know of any system like that that currently exists. So, what kind of activity are you seeing that makes you worried that your computer has been compromised? Let's start there. Oh, for some reason the recon graph found edge ending in unknown target. Stinger agent. Rip. I wonder if I could put command.parent in. I don't think it's going to like it. I need to go look at this command.parent again. I do want to look through this a little bit more, but I want to see Python docs. Let's see. How to combine control flow state with the updates command. I got people on Ditch that predict what I will type before I send it. At least I've noticed them replying to some things I was about to send. Well, you talk about like it's showing up. Like, how far in advance are these things showing up, Eve? Like, very far in advance before you see them like on the stream? Or like you're still typing it out and you see them just responding? And the second question is like, how big is the stream that you're following? Is it thousands of viewers where this is happening? It says literal here. Command.parent my other node. It's weird. Let me look through this. So here they're saying, oh, it goes to my other node. Yeah. But here they still show my other node in command.parent. Do I need to add Stinger as a node into the recon graph so it knows how to connect the two of them together? Here we go. Here's our API reference for command. Let's see. I was typing a whisper and the person replied to me before I sent the whisper. No, you're fine, Eve. This is a total learning stream. I love answering questions and helping folks. There's a lot that goes into cybersecurity and understanding things. Don't worry about it. I love people coming in and asking questions. It's totally fine. I'm working on this for fun. It's part of my learning. I like teaching it too, and you're totally fine. All right, so let me see what it says. So I was typing in a whisper, and the person replied to me before I sent the whisper. Okay. I mean, I wouldn't worry so much about that. The chances are that your machine of the person that you're whispering that it got compromised, I wouldn't be that's a very low probability. And the reason I said that is because unless you're, I'm going to be quite frank with you, unless you're in there just shit posting a lot and someone got butthurt and then they decided to come in and specifically target you so that they could play this massive prank on you, I wouldn't really worry about that much. Yeah, like Essen was saying, it's probably maybe someone might be pranking you at best, but typically people don't really do that whenever they go compromise someone's computer, and particularly like someone who's not in a like a corporate environment, like just you and me, Joe, Jane, Kevin next door, whatever. They're compromising your computer to try and get something useful out of it. Like either they're going to install some kind of crypto miner on your computer and steal your power and your compute cycles, or they're going to try and get access to your cryptocurrency wallet by sniffing your computer, looking for certain cookies on your computer that they can use to go and impersonate you to websites. They're looking for some way to monetize you. Yes, good old Bob and Alice. I still remember when I was a kid, I clicked on an IP grabber link. They sent me my address near where I lived and the Wi-Fi provider I used. I got scared shitless, and so I started learning about cybersecurity. Dude, I mean, it's the same way, man. I can't confirm nor deny this, but there was some little turdlet that once lived on the internet that used to trick people into installing back orifice on their computers over ICQ, and then just sent them funny messages. That was a much more Wild West and, let's call it, friendlier time in the internet. Said turdlet was not trying to hurt people. He was just playing pranks on people. Yeah, by the way, for those of y'all who don't know about back orifice, back orifice was basically a computer remote access Trojan from way back in the day. I think this was, yes, the last stable release was 1998. And so it was made by the guys that made Cult of the Dead Cow way back in the day. So, is it still online? Can you still download this? And the icon, oh god, I forgot about the icon. Oh. It's the original Goatsy. So, but one of the things you could do with back orifice was you could do system pop-ups, like pop-up messages. And so, I said, I can either confirm or deny this, but said turdlet that I know of would just send funny messages in the pop-up. Man, I wonder if this is still on. This would actually be pretty funny, like to put the back orifice server into like a CDF, like a CTF, and you have to go like set it up and exploit it to get onto the box. That would be a funny CTF. Because this program is so old, I know it's got Stack Overflows in it. In fact, here comes Band with a Trend Micro vulnerability list. I wrote an exploit for it back in the day. Nice. Oh, that's funny. Wait, this is for Snort. Stack-based buffer overflow and backorf is preprocessor for Snort before 243. Oh, okay. Allows a remote attacker to write arbitrary code for crafted UDP packets. Oh, I gotcha. That's hilarious, Band. From 2005. Damn. Old school. That was before I even learned about buffer overflows, because I didn't really start learning about them until 2010, when I took the OSCP, when it was brand new. Yeah. Man, that was actually one of the things I liked doing with, gosh, what was it? There was an exploit in Wireshark, and that was one of the things that really pushed me back into going cybersecurity full-time, was doing that. And like, so I used all the OSCP knowledge I had, even though I never took the exam. I went through, and a bunch of the other kids in my CCNA class were all running Wireshark. And so I just sent out a broadcast packet with the exploit and had Metasploit set up on a virtual machine and just got all of these shells back from their lab machines. It was fun. Eventually, I do want to get back into... I don't know if or when I'm going to get back into doing binary exploitation, Band. I really did enjoy it. It is such a long road now. I don't know. Maybe I'll see if I can get Steven Sims to come on the stream and we'll do a question about it. I got a buddy that I worked with who is a super smart guy, and he's getting ready to drop a pretty big CVE. I'm going to ask him to come on the stream so we could do a little interview when he does that. So, used to be an exploit dev for Metasploit? Dude, why you don't tell me these things till like just now? That's badass. Well, shit, man, I'd just bring you on the stream and we'll do an interview. Yeah, because I think that would be really helpful. A lot of people are very interested in binary exploitation, and they start getting into it and then quickly get lost in the weeds, right? At the farthest I got was doing like SEH exploits. I kind of understood heap spraying and that, but I never really wrote those. I wrote SEH exploits because I remember in the OSCP there was a stack overflow in some tool in the lab. I wrote a stack exploit for that, but actually as I was going through it, no, correction, I did not write the stack overflow. What I did was, as I was reading through it, I found an SCH overflow, which was not the intended path for that exploit. And so then I started learning about SCH exploits. I think I'm going to be doing the CCNA as part of my cyber degree. Nice, dude. Bit7, if you have questions on that stuff, hit me up, man. Disco is my old jam. Was that really 2011 that MSF Venom came out? Dang. Yeah, because I remember always using payload and encode when the OSCP came out, because the OSCP came out in like I think it came out in 2009, and then I took it January 2010, so it was still really, really new when I took it. And so a lot of the stuff we were doing with the original OSCP was payload to encode, and just piping it over. Nice. Nice. I didn't know we had such gigantic galaxy brains in the chat. I love this. This makes me happy. This sparks joy. I got my Net Plus and Sec Plus, but still not getting interviews when applying, so doing a degree now. Gotcha. The environment right now is very tough for cybersecurity. And so what I've been telling folks is, in cybersecurity, it has a seasonality to it. Usually you get very busy towards the end of the year when companies need to make compliance deadlines and they need to burn budget. But also, it starts trickling down till, believe it or not, right at DEF CON and Black Hat is the lull of the season. Then it begins to ramp up again. And then it just kind of filters down again.
Well, you have the larger seasonality of just technology, and security works in the same way with that. So, what I tell folks is right now, we're not in the season for reaping, we're in the season for planting. So, I'm encouraging people, hey, yeah, get yourself skilled up, not just certed up, right? Certs are handy, don't get me wrong, but just knowing the cert versus understanding the knowledge from the certificate and then being able to make that information actionable is actually where the real money is. So get yourself skilled up now. So that way, when the season for reaping comes in later, you're going to be well planted. You're going to have a great field to harvest off of. I think the ramp up time's usually around December, January. Dude, so yeah, what I've noticed is, and I can't believe my pen died. Otherwise, I would draw this out. But what happens is usually around after you get past DEF CON, it starts to ramp up slowly. But then once you hit around October, it gets a little faster. And once you hit November, it gets really fast. And then finally around December, January, like you're super busy. Because a lot of times January could be holdovers from December. And then you'll still be busy starting there, but then it just kind of falls off at like a 45-degree angle till you hit the end of August, beginning of July. And there's multiple reasons for that. Over the summer, people are going and taking vacations with their family. They're doing all sorts of other things. But also, people are kind of in a holding pattern because they want to see what happens at Black Hat and DEF CON. And then once those are done, deals get struck there. So it starts picking back up again. But then it picks up real fast. It kind of peaks around January, December, January-ish. And then it starts, like I said, that kind of gentle roll off until July, August time. Yeah, get your home lab all kitted out the best you can and write reports and scripts too. Yeah, exactly, 57. That's the perfect idea right there. You want to be able to show stuff like, and like I said, even if you're re-implementing things that you've previously done, throw those up on your GitHub. Like, hey, by the way, there's a cool tool that I saw that was over here. I didn't like the way it was written, and so I rewrote it in Golang. I rewrote it in Rust. If you're into self-flagellation, you can do that. Here's to hoping I'm still unemployed by then. Hey, Cypher, come on, man. Come on, man. Oh yeah, I forgot about that, man. Also, hiring budget is around that time too, so yes. Vote, what's up, man? I need a job in IT ASAP, so I'm gonna feel like I'm wasting time trying. Yeah, dude, I get that, man. Especially like, I was very fortunate because I had a job in IT as I was finishing my degree. So like I worked full time and I was full time in school. It was a very hard 3 years to do that. I personally dislike the idea of certs mainly because they tend to cost too much for an individual to get. I agree, Band, with a couple of exceptions. Stuff like the RTO. The RTO is great and it's pretty dirt cheap compared to a lot of other certifications. So I do like that one, but that's also not like an entry-level cert. So Rostamouse realizes that, and he started adding kind of like precursor classes to get you ready for the RTO, stuff like that. And plus, a lot of the old paradigm of scan, find CVE, get exploit code, fix exploit code, exploit box. That's really the old way of doing things now. A lot of the stuff is primarily around identity and access management. Well, yeah, dude, if you're popping CVE since 2009, you have been around since the 90s. Shit, I was still in high school. I didn't graduate high school until 2002. So, I do like some stuff around certifications. They get your foot in the door, but really once you have gotten that foot in the door, the certs quickly become less important. And as you step up the seniority ladder, they become less and less important. I think the OSCP in my opinion, is too expensive. Really, back when I checked it out, it was not worth it. Dude, I remember I dropped the bucks for the OSCP, and I learned a ton from it. It was super handy. I just never took the certification because I did it while I was in school, and I felt like I didn't have enough time to dedicate to the lab. And so And one thing I never really liked about the OSCP is the kind of like the very hard structured deadlines. One thing that Rasta Mouse has that's set up fantastically for the RTO is you do have time limits, but you can go purchase additional time. And that's depending on how you do it for this OPSEC stuff, it could be a real pain. If you buy a 1 year, like, I forget what it's called, they're kind of like all you could eat thing, you still get a limited amount of time, I think, in the lab. And then if that time elapses, you can't just buy additional OSCP time. They want you to go buy another 1 year subscription just to get access to the OSCP lab. I had a coworker that ran through that, and I was like, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. The OSCP is great for getting your foot in the door, but doesn't really mean anything if you know it. Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with that. At least the OSCP is finally getting updated, because the OSCP I took in 2010 and then again in 2018 was very similar. Dude, I don't tell anybody to take a SANS certification unless your company's paying for it. They're so expensive. I don't recommend anybody pay for that shit out of pocket. Yeah, definitely agree. All right. Let me check something. But this is in types. Go back a bit. See, the difference is these nodes are all in the same program. So how do I route to a node that is in a different script? I like this idea. Navigating to a node in a parent graph. Okay, let me look at this real quick. But these are all still in the same script. This is the kick. This is the thing that's killing me with this. Yes, the OSCP is absolutely entry level. I agree with that. A lot of people get upset because they say, like, well, that's an advanced certification. Like, it's really not. And just because something's entry level, don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean it's easy. You know, I always used to tell folks, or my department head when I worked at the college, we'd have people that try to take intro to cybersecurity, and then they would get pissed off because they didn't know a lot of stuff that they needed to succeed in that course. And he'd ask them, was like, hey, if this course was called Introductory Brain Surgery, do you think you'd be prepared for that, even though it's an introductory course? Obviously not. When you put it in that terms, people understood it a little bit better. Okay, let me look at this real quick. So here, go to node B, go to node C, command is here, graph command parent. We pass the go to. One thing I've noticed they're not doing though is they're not using the type hints in here, and the type hint is what broke it. Let me look for this real quick. Let's do LangGraph. Command type hints. But it was in here. I mean, I like what they're doing here with this, where they've got the command, but I think this only works if all this stuff is in, like I said, one contained Python script. That's not how we're doing this. We've broken the agents out into their own, like, subscripts to make the code a little bit more modular. Let's see. Let me try the supervisor here. Even when they do this, though, I believe they're doing this. Hang on a sec. Question for the certification nerds in chat. Nothing beats a clean Windows reinstall, right? Oh, for the certified nerds. Sorry, no more man-in-the-middle paranoia, no more keylogger nightmare. Yeah, ease. I would say if you can do that, definitely do that. Make sure you back your stuff up, make copies of it offline, so that way you can restore everything. But The only reason, honestly, this computer needs needs a fresh install. The only reason I haven't done it is because there's not an easy way to migrate my OBS setup. So I'm working on trying to migrate OBS off this computer to a different one. But then I've got to deal with capture cards. I got to deal with some other stuff in here. So it's going to be a little bit more of a pain whenever I do that. But otherwise, I would have wiped my computer and done a fresh install. I can't compare the OSCP and the CPTS except from what I've heard. But I have to say that going through the CPTS, I'd say it looks pretty good, really detailed. That's cool because I haven't looked at the CPTS. Which one is the CPTS? Is that the one from Try Hack Me? From Hack the Box. Okay. Yeah, I really need to. I would eventually want to find some time to go through that. So I like what they're doing here where they've got it on here. Let's see. Command type hints. Maybe this has it. Let's see. How to combine control flow and state updates with command. Well, I mean, command already has that in here, though. Yeah, this is what we were just looking at. We're like, hey, I'm going to go to my other node. I was like, well, how do I get my other node in here, Broseph? You know what? I'm going to try something. I got an idea. Let me take this out. I'm going to change that back to Stinger Agent here. Actually, no, I want to go find command type source code. Let's see. Here's our libs. I believe this is in typing. LangGraph. Okay, so here's an example where they use command.parent. What do they import? We go to the very first usage here. Okay. I don't see it being imported though. You're killing me, Smalls. That was not helpful. That was sub-helpful. Let's see here. Oh, it's just all one giant line. I think we just looked at that one. That's not helpful. Import command. Ah, there it is. Types. Command. Here we are. Now we're getting somewhere. Okay. Alright, so one more command to update the navigation. Version added to this. So the graph to send the command to. Command.parent. Closest parent graph. Alright, I want to see where's the parent actually gets set. Classifier literal parent equal underscore parent. I keep landing on that fake GitHub website. They really copied as much as possible the design of all tried. Logging in once got saved by some Chrome or Google built-in protection. That's interesting, Eve. Like, so it's designed to look like GitHub, but it's not GitHub.com. Let's see. Update is tuples. Okay, so the command one is actually a fairly small. Yeah, graph update resume go to. So we do class var literal parent underscore her. I mean, one thing we could try doing. No, I'm not sure how we do that though. We could actually go try running Stinger and let it call the recon agent. We could set some breakpoints in here to modify it. What if I could actually change this to like this? Nah, it's giving us the same thing here. And then parent's not going to be defined. Let me think about this. Damn it. Alright, I guess we'll take out the type hint here. Just so we can actually run the program. I'll have to think about that a little bit here. Oh, unknown edge. It's because, yeah, these should not be in here yet. Because we haven't implemented those nodes yet. Okay. This. Hey, here we go. Cool, now it actually kind of shows them up in here. Nice. If I expand enum. Oh god, that's so tiny. I can zoom in. Nice. Okay. I'd like to eventually see, like, from enum agent passing back to Stinger over here. That would be awesome. But, okay. That's kind of cool that just by adding that, we were able to get it in there. Let me think about this. So I think what I want to do now is I do want to implement this right here. No. The Reflexion agent. Oh god, why are you? Ugh. Only feds use light mode. I do want to implement this. And the implementation is actually not very difficult, right? If we could look at it. I'm blind! I know, sorry for the flashbang. Alright, so here's our reflection. What's missing? What's superfluous? Superfluous. Word. Gosh, actually, before I do this, there actually is one other update I'm thinking about trying. Let me see, what changes do I have? Wordless we're not currently using. What are the changes I made over in Stinger? Let me see. Oh, that was just a minor update there. Yeah. And I think we did the same thing over in Recon. Oh, we imported... Actually, Recon, we can ignore that one because... that import for typing for literal we don't actually need. And we don't need either of those there. Just call this minor fixes. We commit this over on GitHub real fast. Minor bug fixes. And we'll just call it minor cleanup. There we go. And we'll go push that up to GitHub. That's right, SM. Only feds use light mode. Which is, I teased my coworkers about that because in our styling guides, we have to use the light mode in all of our screenshots. And so when I go to make a screenshot for a report, I'm like, okay, let me switch it to fed mode. And I'll go take the screenshot and then I'll switch back. Let's see here. So I do want to do that reflection agent, but actually I want to try something real quick here. And that is from our output formatters, I want to try something real quick. So let me minimize this. I do want to kind of create a host output format. So let me go do something. Let me come look at... So after recon handoff, we should have a host already specified in here. Yeah, we do. Where can I see the raw output from this? Dang it, I don't think I can. Let me try... If I come look at this one, will it show me the state when I look at this? Okay, here's our nmap output format. And if we look at the state table, here's our host right here. Where's the view state? Come on, where are you? I know you're in here somewhere. State. Ah, damn it. I think it's because that checkpoint is in memory. But you know what we can do is... Let me make sure our try hack me box is still online. Add an hour. There we go. Add another hour. You bastard. I've already connected to the VPN. What the heck just happened? Oh, you're a pain in the ass. Hang on one sec. There we go. Alright. Okay, let me add an hour to the time machine here. Fed mode and hacker mode equals God mode. That's right. So once we've got this kind of up and... There we go. Now it's showing. All right. So our IP address is still the same. Let's go ahead and just run this real quick. And actually, I'm going to do it so that... Go and collapse the recon. Collapse. There we go. It looks like a boot. The way it decided to draw the graph. That's funny. Let me come over here. Let me grab our state data. Actually, I don't even have to do this. Why am I making this so hard on myself? Over here in the recon agent, in the output formatter, we have all this logic for it. So what we're going to do is... So over here in the host, we're going to add that target host to this. So our target host is going to have a list of ports and port names. Yeah. And then each of those ports is going to be a port object. Damn it, I really wish my pen was working. Sucks. Actually, hang on, I gotta go check something real quick, guys. Yeah, give me about 30 seconds. We'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. I am back. I need to get some new headphones because when my hair is really short, it just shreds this leather. That's right, man. Oh, Bender. I need to see if I can find some more little Bender sound clips for the soundboard because Bender really is one of my favorites. Check something. I really wish my little hands were. That's okay. My output format again fast here. Alright, so look at context. Okay, so our host, that's right. So what we have is we have a format string here, which is host name, IP address, kind of like, you know, format, what is it? I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's pretty much the same as what we've got in here. And then for some reason we had an unknown here. It's kind of weird. Wherever that one came from. But what should happen is this, in theory, should kind of be the same. I don't get why one did a DNS resolution and the other one didn't. But what should happen is these should kind of merge together in here. Why are the ports all blank? It's weird. I'm so grumbly. I was working on a CTF for the first time and downloaded the zip. The memory dump wasn't in it, but now I see that it was added. Oh no. Wait, how? So the memory dump? What do you mean? It was like they forgot to add it, and it wasn't added when you downloaded it, and they went back and fixed it? Is that what happened? Zip just had a file that said memory dump omitted. Oh, that's rough. Hey, Eves, I saw the subscription. Thank you. I don't know why the alert didn't fire. Did it? Did y'all hear the alert? I didn't see it. That's weird. You're an agent now. Awesome. Thanks you. Thank you so much. That was weird. I didn't hear it on this side. Hold on. Let's see. Dropped my little fidget spinner here. Yeah, it did. Okay, so I was checking the replay on the live stream, and yeah, it came up. That is weird. I don't know why it didn't do that. Okay, I think I probably know why. So over here in OBS, it's Playception. Something that sometimes what happens is if OBS doesn't shut down exactly perfectly right, these alerts will still be set up to run, but I won't hear them in the output. And so I've got it set up to monitor those outputs. So I bet that's probably what happened over here. So what I have to do is turn the monitoring off and then re-enable it. There we go. I tried subbing 3 times on my phone, but I had to turn on the computer. Oh, weird. Well, thank you for the sub. I super appreciate that. Yep. Having lots of fun tonight. Alright, let me go run this again. And we'll let our little hacking bot do its thing. So I can take a look at something fast here. And I think what I want to do is I want to set an interrupt here. I want to put an interrupt on before in Stinger Agent. There we go. So that way when we send the input, it should be in a new thread here. Yeah. So when it hits Stinger Agent, it will pause for just a second. And what we can do is we can tell the Stinger Agent to go ahead and continue. It should continue to the Recon node. There we go. And so we're in the Recon Agent. And we're going to get a Recon tool node. And it should be using like TCP port scan. That's fine. Actually, let me look at the task list real quick. Okay, yeah. So these are all hitting enum, which is fine because I only wanted one task for Recon. It's going to hit Stinger again, and it's going to pause so we can take a look at the state table. What's that one? Oh, yeah, thanks for the gifted sub to Agent 57. See, 57? You make one of your rare appearances, because I know it's an odd time for you being over there across the pond. And you got a gifted sub. Okay, cool. So now let me take a look here. Can I view my state table? Yes, I can. Show me the JSON. And then I think if I come down here to, oh god, it's so huge. There we go. All right, prepare for the flashbang. Ah, the birds. Nearly 420 on the 420. Nice. So here's our memory checkpoints. Let me come up here. All right, so we don't want messages, we want hosts. Here we go. Originally, I just had this sorted by IP address in here. And then I added a IP address host name because I wanted to kind of look at it. I'm so lazy about reinstalling Windows, I'll just stay hacked another night. Believe me, I understand. And I've had updates that I kept pushing off on this computer because the last time I updated them, it broke my Stream Deck. And I could not use it, and it was such a pain in the ass. And so I was pushing off the Windows updates for a little while. Like right now, it wants me to update VS Code. Get out of here. And so I really need to decouple my streaming computer from like my actual computer. So that way I can keep my security updates installed properly. Okay, so for ports, this is a dictionary of port objects in here. So I think when we do a host update, what we want to do is we want to check to see, like, do any of these match it in here? Because eventually, like, we actually did get a different host name in this. Elgato's so bad about queuing their releases from my experience. Yeah, Cypher, I'm kind of seeing that a bit. And so that's why I said I just try not to update the computer. In fact, the streaming computer, when I redo it, might just be running Linux by the time I get done with it. I'll have to double check because I do want to slightly future-proof the streaming computer because I want it to be able to do the AV1 encoding. So AV1 encoding will allow you to do like 1080p, but at half the bandwidth. So if somebody previously was really bandwidth limited, they could get a higher resolution to view on the stream. Another reason why typically I try to zoom in this text quite a bit, because if somebody's watching in a lower bandwidth, I want them to still be able to follow along with what's happening. Linux and OBS are not the perfect match. They're not. But once I could get it stable, you just don't update it ever again. That's the fix. You just don't update it. you not use another keyboard or special modded keyboard so you can know what they are? Oh, I mean, or special or modded keys? What do you mean, Agent? You lost me. Doesn't take much to do that. Think about something in here. There was something that came back a little bit later on this, because we previously, during our previous run, we ran 2 scans. We ran a TCP SYN scan, very basic, with some scripts on it. But then also we ran another one, which is a service enumeration scan. The service enumeration scan, I think, actually did find the host's name, but actually, which would be this data field here. No, it's not such a big deal, but I think I will. Well, it'll be some duplication of information, but it won't be that bad. Hey, look at something. If I highlight all of this host field here, how many characters is that? That's only. That doesn't even break 1,100 characters. So that's not too bad. The context window on Claude 3.7. Look at that real quick. Claude 3.7 Sonic context window. Killing me, Smalls. Google, you are such a piece of junk. Really, no mention of context or window. Killing me, Smalls. Claude 3.7 context. That's understanding the context window. I just want to know what it is. Oh, is it 200K? Is that it? Let's see. So this wasn't just a one-off test, but a methodical investigation to ensure my observations were consistent. And as for now, anyone can verify their finding with their own cursor. Ask. The cost of running this experiment is about 5 cents. Small price to pay for uncovering truth behind marketing claims. Let's see. I was excited when Claude 3.7 Sonnet Max was promised the whole 200K context window as someone who regularly works with large code bases. Let's see. Has anyone else encountered this? Okay, great. So after eagerly testing this impressive feature, I discovered something interesting. Any message exceeding approximately 70,000 tokens simply won't be processed. The system just refuses to handle it. At least Cursor doesn't change these or rejects requests, so we have something going for us. I understand that implementing a true 200K context handling is cost challenging, but perhaps the marketing should match the capabilities. Okay, so this guy's saying really it's kind of capped at 70K. So we're at 1/70th of the context window that we can use. I think we'll be okay. So could you use a macro keyword so when you press a button, a macro fires like the Elgato thing, but without the Elgato ecosystem? Oh, I totally could have done that, 57, but I found a lady nearby that was selling her the large like XL Stream Deck, one with all the buttons, and she was selling it pretty cheap. So I grabbed it from her on Craigslist. She's also a streamer, but she primarily just streams video games. And so she wasn't using it. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll buy it off you. Can you change models because Gemini has an obscene context window? I could, Cypher. Actually, the way the program is built out here is in the configuration.py is actually where we define the language model. So the LLM actually gets stored in a configuration object, and we could easily come through and swap out Anthropic for any other chat model we wanted to. The difference is I already had credits for Anthropic. In fact, let me see. Let me check something real quick. And in fact, in all my various testing I've been doing, I've only spent $4 of the credits I have. Am I going to end up running this locally? I potentially could. I wish 57 I still had access to another system that I used to have. It was actually a hash cracking server, but it was called Cthulhu, the destroyer of hashes. And Cthulhu had 128 gigs of video memory. So I could run very large models on it. So in that case, I probably could come through and have run this on a local system. As it sits right now, the best I can run is a 7 billion parameter model, really, especially while I'm streaming. So that's the major limiting factor for all these models is how many billions of parameters you can run, which roughly equates to how many gigs of video memory do you have. So if you run an okay sized model that's a 40B, you got to have 40 gigs of video memory. And NVIDIA and everyone else has just been really chinchy, that's a technical term, when it comes to putting larger video RAM chips on their systems. That's why something like the NVIDIA H100 costs so much. I believe it has, I want to say 80 gigs of video memory. Let me see. NVIDIA H100 memory size. Yeah, it's got 80 gigs in it. And this card cost, let's see, MSRP, $25,000 for one. I've got like 10 4070s, and I'm thinking about setting up an AI thing. Yeah. I mean, if you really wanted to go run something, what you would find is you could probably get away with using something like... Actually, you really even... Like, a couple of people had experimented with using old hash... like, crypto hashing rigs, right? Crypto miners for doing this. But those, you didn't have to move a lot of memory back and forth, and that was okay for crypto mining, but it's not okay for AI. You do have to use pass a lot of memory back and forth. Just mine BTC with it. Yeah, exactly. I think if I was mining Bitcoin with that, it probably would have made like a nickel a day, and it would have cost more in electricity. Okay. Let's see. So our host structure is, it's okay. The reason why I wanted this on here, let me go look at something real quick. I want to look at the RoboPages config here. We pull up Nmap again. And then let's go to the top here. All right, so a syn scan does just a syn scan. It does aggressive, and that's about it. Then we have UDP, and then we have host discovery, and then we do have a service scan in here, service enum, and this does an SVC, which for some reason when that one ran, the Nmap service enumeration, it actually did come back with a host name, which I found very interesting. It's past all the DAGs now, so I can't do any algo with it. Yeah, no kidding. Ah, undo. Didn't mean to insert that. Let's see. So this one is really just running SVC against a list of ports. How did our language model actually run that? Let's look at something. Ah, flashbang. So that was our port scan, and then once we hit to enumeration, we did a service enumeration. And in the service enumeration, let me look at this after it comes post output format. So for the output formatter, it does the Nmap output format, but this still just had host and IP address as well. That. And then we did HTTPX detect. And then when it did the output format, it again did IP address and host name from this. This was our target. So this was all kind of working. I like the idea of here's what I'm thinking is we implement the here's kind of what I'm thinking, right? Because the whole idea is to solve tasks, right? We have Stinger from the user create a list of tasks, send them to either recon, enumeration, exploit, or post-ex. It sends it to the appropriate agent. But then also if we have a reflection agent, reflexion agent in there, the whole idea is we want to solve the question for the task, right? So what we can do is in the output formatter is we could actually have a conditional router maybe from that where we send it to, yeah, I kind of like this idea and I wish my frickin' pen wasn't dead. Just tried Gemini today. It was incredible. I was incredibly surprised. Used 3 hours of meetings with a client to help organize some of the concepts we discussed in building. It did it beautifully. Ooh, nice. I think Gemini is also, I think that is also powering the Notebook LLM idea here. Notebook LLM or Notebook LM. Go back. I don't want to log in. This was a tool that another coworker of mine really likes. Understanding information that's generated. And yeah, this is also using Gemini 2.0 in here. So the idea is you could drop different ideas into here and basically have an LLM powering your note-taking a little bit. I really should go dig into this because I think it's really neat. The only problem is the one thing I'd want to test it on, I can't due to confidentiality. Our new audio overview feature can turn sources into engaging deep dive discussions. That's pretty cool. Yeah. If y'all want to take a look at this, I'll drop the link over to it in here. It looks really neat. Like I said, I got a coworker that really likes it. I'm currently using Notion for my personal notes, and Notion has their own AI system as well. I just haven't been messing with it. I don't feel like I need it for my personal notes. Let me see. Rep this. So, for some reason it does. Oh, before using GoBuster, it wanted to confirm that it was up and running. So then the output we got from the second send scan came back. Our formatted output still had just the host name and IP address. Okay. Yeah, so I want to try a couple things in here. Let me put some notes in the to-do. Let me see. Stinger. We'll make a. Let's make an overall section here. So overall, I want to add. Let's do some questions in here. So, can we make? We make the output format the in-map output. Make the in-map output general, more general to remove post-processing. What I need to do is I need to check on identic models or nested models. So I do need to do that. And then the other thing is add reflexion for checking if task was completed successfully. Link to output formatters, or from output formatters. I think that will be the best way to do this. So what I'm thinking is, in fact, if we let's go back over here. So if we come look at the diagram, right? Every one of these has an output formatter. We can come to the output formatter and say, hey, by the way, was this task completed successfully? If not, we need to provide feedback, add it to the context, and send it up to the recon agent. I think that would work. Getting kind of late in France. Happy I found your channel. I hope to hang out more, and learn things. Hey, Eves, thanks for stopping in from France. I am really hoping actually sometime maybe this year to go visit France. My family is Catholic, and I always wanted to go visit Lourdes. So hopefully, maybe this year I'll make it out there. I don't know, but awesome checking in from France. I'm very happy you stopped by. Oh yeah, Eves, check out InfoSec streams. Definitely. Thanks for the plug, 57. Stop by Paris and I'll guide you around. Awesome. Great. And I promise not to butcher the French language by even attempting to speak it, because I know I would. Only thing I will dare to ask is, where is the restroom? Yeah, I think that's kind of what I want to do with this. If I can fix this part up right here, that would be super helpful. In fact, we could do that for general output formatters, come to think of it. So come to output format, what do we have? Our standard output format is our target, our IP, which has IP address and host name, and the output. So target is nice, that's cool. So we can have the target in here. We've got these for these. These two are just kind of generic, right? IP address, host name. Actually, yeah, this would work out pretty well in here. So the question is, can I take this and for ports, can I say that, hey, this is a dictionary? I think I can, actually. Hang on, I'm going to try something. I'm going to duplicate this real fast here. And what I'm going to do is, so we want the IP address, we want the host name. The ports here, I'm going to take all this stuff out. And the way this should work is ports should be like a dictionary. It should be a dictionary of the ports, which will then have the port protocol state service versions and scripts, which all of this is defined as a port over in our states list here. See that? So it'd just be a dictionary string of ports in here. Yeah, I think we could do that. Okay, yeah, I want to try this real fast. Because if this works, it's going to save us a lot of post-processing. We can strip out some extraneous code and make the code a little bit more generalized. So let's give that a shot. Let's go back over to output formatters. So ports here, just delete this out. This should be a dictionary. How do I make this a dictionary? I think it's string and then, is it like that? That would be from states, yeah. Which is going to be a typed dict. That's it, okay. Sweet, okay. That was actually a heck of a lot easier than I thought. So let me do this. Field, and then the description for it. So the description for this is going to be, let's say, maps the port number and protocol, which would be, I'll put in parentheses here, TCP, UDP. And then what we can do is we can actually say to the state services, versions, and scripts. Yeah, because over here in states, we list all that in here. Scripts is just a list of strings. Versions is just a string. Nice. Oh man, if this works, it's going to save me so much trouble. Let's see, maps, number of ports and protocols to the, and then what is this? going to be states, services, versions, and scripts out. Versions and scripts. Output. Okay, let me take this. I'm going to comment this one out for now. And then if this works, actually, it's going to break. We're going to get a fault and a panic in the code because it's not going to know how to do the processing correctly. But if it works, that's going to be awesome. Let me double check something in the syntax real fast. Identic model dictionary. Let me double check something. Make sure this is the correct syntax where it says, hey, we're going to map a string to this port structure that we created. Well, in this case, they just said it's a dictionary. So this map a string to an int? Yeah, it looks like it. Maybe that colon is not the correct syntax to use. Yeah, I think it should be a comma here. Because in this case, we say x is equal to a string to an int. Okay, so yeah, that syntax is not absolutely space right there. Okay. So we'll save that, and then I'm going to rerun this, and we're going to see where it breaks. Why? Because I said so. Go ahead and end this run. Actually, where is the option here? Somewhere in here, there's a way to cancel all pending. Which it should kill this one, right? And then we'll start a new one. So let me go drop in our state table. Should be good. Then submit. Why you do this to me? Why you bully me? Did we get an error? Oh, we did. We got some kind of error here. Could not import module from graph. Wait, what? Likely due to a circular import. Oh no. What do you mean? Cannot import in-map output format. That's weird. So this should be imported correctly from util states. Yeah. Hold on, let me take a look at this. Cannot import this name from a partially initialized module. Utils.output formats. Most likely due to a circular import in output formats. There shouldn't be a circular import. I've never seen this error before. That's all right. Not import. Ah, I didn't mean to kill that. Let me try write it again. It does. Let's see. So if you're using requirements.txt, you do this. Error most likely means you haven't installed your project and its dependencies yet before running the server. Install your project. It has been installed. I wrote the code. look at. Let me just try searching for this error here. Take this out. Taking out just these explicit names. I want to see if anybody else has run across this circular. All right, so I'm upgrading Django. Managed to run this, run migrations. All right, so for future readers, this can also happen if you name a Python file the same as a dependency for a project you use. So I can't have a file named retrying.py that is using the retrying packet. Okay, so you have a circular import. So authentication models imports corporate models, which imports corporate model selection, which imports authentication model. RIP. All right, so this is saying that we're getting a circular import from Stinger in here, I think. States line 8. Oh, we're importing this, but we don't even use it. That's what's causing the error. Okay. Sweet. Refresh. It's because I had unused imports in it. That's what was wrong. Okay. Now let me go grab the state data. Oh no. Let's drop this in here, and we're just going to see where it breaks. Right, so we have a breakpoint set at the Stinger agent. We'll just tell it to continue. It's hitting the recon node, and when it hits the output formatter, it's probably going to just lose its mind here in just a second. But that's fine, because actually I want to see how it handles output formatting here in just a second. Once the data comes back, it should hopefully format it pretty nicely for us. In which case, we can take out all the post-processing and literally just take that and go slap it over to it. Alright, cool. So we hit some errors. That's fine. Output formatter hit error with key states. Not really concerned about that. Well, let me go look at the trace of it. Ports. Oh, nice. So it did come back with this. And we did get port 80. Sweet. Awesome. This is exactly what we wanted. So we can take this. Let's come back over here. So over in Recon Agent, we have a lot of what is now extraneous logic in the output format. So we can go strip all this stuff out. All this code can go bye-bye. And then we're going to basically just, I believe, take the output from that. Yeah, the output from our tool call. Which should be all of this, right, Tremere. This is great, because we can go extract like 2 pieces of information. We can call it hostname, IP address. Think about this. Because one thing that can happen, we've already seen this happen, is that the IP address obviously isn't going to change, but the host name can change, right? So then it thinks it's a different host entry and drops it in there, which is not such a big deal. However, I'll have to think about that problem. But right now, as it currently sits, it's great. We extract the host name and the IP address. We make that the key value for the host, and then we just throw it in there. Sweet. Let's go do that. We don't have to worry about that right now. So we have our output. And our output is already going to be nicely formatted, which is fan-freaking-tastic. So now, is it just assuming the IP is the host name as well? Yeah, it is banned, because what we're looking at is, if we come back to the tool output, right? It's extracting all of this from Nmap, right? And so the output from Nmap was, hey, here is our... Here's our Nmap scan report for this IP address right here. So if we take this and we rendered it, right, what we'd see is we don't see anything like with host name information in here whenever we do this. Yeah. So if Nmap isn't aware of what the host name is, then obviously we're not going to have that data to get it back out of here. So I can think of a couple of scenarios, though. One thing I was thinking of, hey, match the IP address, check and see, does the IP address and the host name match, things like that. I wanted host name eventually, and it's, like I said, it's not such a big deal, but eventually I did want it for handling vhosts in the future. It was designed to be like a little bit of a future-proofing field in there. Because I could see that becoming a problem in the future. Let's see. Then you'd have hostname being a list. Well, that's true. Actually, that's not a bad idea. Like I mentioned earlier. Yeah, I know. Nobody likes a "I told you so." Output format. Host name. List of strings. Oh, there we go. Actually, so for... Actually, I think for states, don't we have a host? Yeah, we do. For hostname, actually, over here, we had an optional list of strings. And so, actually, it was just an optional string, so we could change this over to a list right here. What do we use this at? We use it over the enum agent, that's right. Oh, we use it in enum and recon. We use it in states, which is fine. We use it on states line 42. Line 42. Oh, the stinger state, yeah, which is totally, absolutely fine. So we could use that there. We reference this in the enum agent. We reference it we reference it here, but actually we don't even need this import anymore. I think one of the things I'm gonna have to do is go through and clean up a bunch of the imports when I do this. But we can take it out of the recon agent so it's not being used there. And then what else do we have for usages? Add it over in the enum agent. Oh, yeah, here we'll have to mess with it a bit. Yeah. Just not bad. We can do that. We'll fix this up in just a second. Let's focus on the recon agent real fast. And then what we'll do. Where was that? That was the output format stuff. Actually, this was perfect right here. We could leave this code in for the time being. Except I unimported that. Re-import. Import this name from states. And then it should throw a fit here because the host name this is not going to be a list, so actually what I could do is I could just cast this as a list, and then when we get ready to add it, what we'll do is we'll just do a list merge. Yeah, I think that'll work. I can take all this code out. I'm just going to nuke it. Doesn't really matter. Do the same thing over on enum agent. So we'll make this a list here. So now we should have a nice structure for the data. So we can take in our nmap and then our go buster, and we should hopefully be able to kind of merge these together. Let me look at something real quick in our task list. Our tool here is actually going to need to be a list of strings as well, because we might be able to use multiple tools for this. Because what would happen is if we can run one tool and it finds it, that's great. So we run one tool, we get one output, we answer the question. What is the task, right? If we don't, then what we'll do is we'll have a list of tools, and then we'll have a list of tasks, or list of outputs from that. Where was this being used? Let me look at what was our usages. We used it on line 38, which is fine. We also used it on line 43, which was a list of tasks right here. So the output pretty much would always be a dictionary, yeah. But what we'll do is we'll make this a list of dictionaries. There we go. And the reason why this is going to be a list of dictionaries is the control flow is now going to be, once we hit the output formatter, we'll hit the Reflexion agent. The Reflexion agent, or at least Reflexion is probably not the best one for it, but it's going to hit some kind of validator agent to say, hey, was the task completed successfully? If that task was completed successfully, then we will go back and we'll have like an output for this. I kind of want to add something to this. Answer. We're going to add an answer field to this in here. Everything is a list now. Dude, it's just lists all the way freaking down. Just lists upon lists. And in fact, I'm going to mark this list here as optional for now, because when it implements the task, it should not actually have an answer to this. So we'll make this an optional list in here. And then what will happen is these will be essentially the same thing in here. Lists and arrays, not just strings? I know, right? Really, if we wanted to, we could actually get rid of the tool portion here. And the output... Where am I using this at? Hang on, let me see something. Where are we referencing tasks in here? Let me see. So for our output format, we should be getting our current task in here. Yeah, state current task. We set the status, we get our state, our current task, list value here. A string's just a list of chars. Exactly, dude. It's just lists all the way down. Just like all the arithmetic is just adding in various fancy methods. It's all just adding at the bottom. Once you get down to the bottom, it's all just adding. Let's see, the tools used to complete the task. And really this tool option here is just for my additional tracking. One thing we could do... Last message type equals tool. Our tool output is the last message content. And then we get our output format here. Was I ever actually setting the tool in the task list? Hang on. I might be losing my mind here. Let me look at some of my past threads in. Let me look at the trace of this one. Strings are immutable and tangible too. Exactly. All right, so let me look at it after. Okay, so when we enter the enum agent, let me look at our task list here. Yeah, so we were writing the tool output here. Where did I write that though in the code? We do current cast output status. There's our current task, and then we set the output for here. Actually, I had those spaces in there for a reason because I wanted to make it clear that this is the list index right here. Where do we access state task? Because that's where we would set the tool output in here. Ah, here we go. This is where we actually set it. We set the tool there. See that? Okay. I like the idea though, because what we'll do is this will be real simple because all we have to do instead of making this an equal, we just change it to a dot append. And what we do is we append that onto it. But should that be about the same spot in enum agent? Should be around line 40. Yeah, we'll do the same thing here. So now we just append onto that. There we go. Oh, I got one too many P's. And a little bit too much P in the append. Okay, so now tools will be a list, output will be a list. So come back down here. Our output, what we're going to do is do the same thing. The output is going to be another append function onto here. And we'll do the same thing over in Recon. They have very similar logic so far. There we go. So we have a list of dictionary options. Or a list of dictionary objects, which is not bad. Okay, so once we get all that up and running, what I'm thinking is, and we're gonna run out of time before we can do that tonight, but we'll set up a, I don't know, reflection, a grader, something. We're gonna set up another agent loosely based on the reflexion that's going to come through and it's going to say, hey, by the way, I can take in a task object and then I can return this to it. So actually, there's one more thing I got to do. Over here in tasks, we have the status being a couple of different options here. So we have a new, a working, a completed, and a validated in here. So validated should be what it is. So the agent here, once it gets through, marks it as completed. But then we'll have the validator graph or node come through and say, hey, by the way, using this tool output, can we answer the question for the task? Or was the task completed successfully? Things like that. In fact, I want to do a minor modification here real quick. Because there should be something different in here. Let's see. Oh, this is Recon. I need to go back over to Stinger. So our question should be to find hidden directories. To find, yeah, I'm gonna actually combine the last two questions in here because there's two questions that TryHack me asks. It says, hey, find the hidden directories and what is the hidden directory? So I'm going to throw that portion. What is the hidden directory? Oop. And I'm going to add this also into our testing data right here. And if you're wondering why I have this in two different places, this is the context that would be used if I ran the script locally. When I'm running it through the server, everything is coming through the Langsmith Studio. Everything is coming through here, so I've got to input it into this. So there are ways I could go through and I could massage it to make it work. This is just my dirty little hack to make it function. What is the hidden directory? Damn it, I misspelled it. What's the hidden director? Who is your director? Thank you, man. Alright, let me go try running this real quick with the new updates. So one of the cool things also about the studio is, if I come up here, like I hit Control S, you notice it actually comes through and it hot patches in all the code changes. It does a really good job of it. Alright, so let me take that, and let's go do a new run here. New thread. Why? Because why not? So, I'm going to actually turn off the interrupt here. Just going to let it run, do its thing. We will have to go through and actually update the logic because, like I said, we have not added the validator to this. And validator might just be a new node in here. I'm debating. I don't know if I want to make it its own agent or just make it a node in here. It's going to be reusable code. So validator's not really its own agent. Oh, cool. So it finished at recon. It handed off to enumeration. Nice. Let's see what it's doing over here. Let's see. What was the task it was given, though? Oh, wait, these are all the messages. Oh, let me collapse that. I don't care about the hosts. And... oh, wait, the host thing is looking kind of funky. That's not good. Our host is looking... okay, so we definitely got a couple of code bugs in here. So it's doing a service enumeration scan. Oh, because it's trying to identify what's running on port 22. So there's actually two previous nodes we should add in here. So over here, the agent should have one more node off to the side, like maybe start before it actually hits the agent. We should have some kind of like initial validator node that says, hey, look at all the context and see, can we answer the question before we actually go and run the task, right? Because we might already have the data. We already have the data to answer what's running on port 22 from the recon data. So it's vanilla ice cream. Sock brought me a sample of her cake she made for Easter tomorrow. Okay, you take those crumbs and you sprinkle them on chocolate ice vanilla ice cream. No, you go ahead. If you want to have it, you can enjoy the fruits of your labor.
I just don't want.
No, you go ahead.
I put it.
Yes, I will. All right, let's see. See, it's doing the same thing again. It wants to, before it performs Go Buster, it wants to validate. And so this is the problem it's running into, because it's assuming that there will be one action to complete the task, right? But that's not the case. What's happening is it can take multiple actions. Because I saw it pop up over here. What it wants to do So it's returning all the information fairly correctly over here. Yeah, but one thing it's doing is it wants to make sure the port is online, and we already know the port is on when it does this. Okay, so let me make some notes for to do for tomorrow, because unfortunately we're running out of time on the stream. I do have to be up early, so I can't do a 5-hour stream tonight. I'm so sorry, guys. And I'm gonna call it a validator agent. So add validation for check to check. So if the task was completed successfully, link from output formatter. Hope you have a good Easter. It's great to see you, and hopefully I'll be on here more soon. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, it's been got a good time planned out. Unfortunately, I had something I can't talk about just yet, but I got more kind of bad news. It's not horrible, it's just very unfortunate timing for something. Once that situation gets resolved, I can discuss it. But man, it's been pretty rough since July. Thankfully, my company that I started at in September has been absolutely amazing to me and has really helped out a lot. And so that has been a complete and utter blessing, for lack of any more appropriate term. So it's been super great. Talk about I don't think my other company wouldn't have helped my previous employer. It would have been super helpful, but not as helpful. Thanks, Cypher. Thanks, 57. You know I appreciate you guys. Let's see. Actually, yes, we did. We actually did this already, so that is good. Let's see. Add validation to check if a task was completed successfully. Yeah. So actually, we want to do two things here. I want to add. So this should link from. Link from agent and. Yeah, because the way I'm kind of envisioning this is that the validator. I'm going to kill the server for now. What I'm imagining is that the validator basically be like an offshoot node here. I think that's probably the best way to do this. So if I zoom in here, let's say like the recon agent, I can move those? Wait. How did I not realize I can move these nodes around? This is amazing. Go back. Ah, damn it. I forgot. I turned the server off. Son of a bitch. Oh well. Skill issue. And Cypher, you know what? You're probably right. Yep, what I was thinking before I can't draw up the diagram tonight. I could draw it in MS Paint if I wanted to do like pirate software, but I don't want to. But there's going to be a validation check node. I don't think it needs to be its own agent, its own subgraph or anything like that. But we'll have a validation node that comes through and we'll take a look at, hey, this is how it was executed, and can we answer the task? Hey, Focus, thanks for coming online, man. Focused doves. Nice. Like a whole pack of them, like they're just focused and dive bomb you. But yeah, I think what we'll do is we'll add a validation node in here. Maybe I'll extract it out so it'll be like a reusable node, but the validator will then take, it's going to be added into the graph. It'll be an offshoot of agent, so we'll have to add the node, add the edges. That's no big deal. But what it's going to do is it's going to take in that task object and it's going to see, okay, is it actually completed? Once the once it gets completed, it says then, okay, cool. Can we answer the question, or was the task executed appropriately? If it does, then it gets moved to the validated status, and that task will no longer be worked on. So I think that will work just fine, because then once that task is done, the agent should be able to look at what's the next task assigned to it, go through and execute through that list, and then finally when it runs out of tasks, pass it to the next agent in the chain. Yes. I think that will work. Okay. So we add a validation check if the task was completed. So we link from the agent before tool calling, and actually, yeah, that'll work fine, because then once it comes back from the output formatter, it hits the agent again. The agent can then kick it over to the validator. Perfect. And if the task is marked as validated, we're all Gucci. There will be a couple other small changes in the code to make, because right now it's looking for tasks that are just new. So maybe I'll do one more small change here, and that a task could be new, working, completed. Look at that real fast. Let me look at the agent code. Last thing for tonight. Okay. So if the status equals new. So actually what we might do is we'll check if a status is equal to completed first. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. If it's marked as completed, then we'll kick it over to validator. If it's not marked as completed and it's marked as new, we'll kick it down here. Okay, I think that will work. Let's go find somebody to raid though for tonight. Let me go ahead and terminate the machine here. I don't want them having to spin up their resources. And you know what? I keep forgetting to turn off the VPN also. Just because I like TryHackMe. I don't want to go burning up their cycles, charging them their cloud hosting, which I know they're using. Let's check InfoSec streams. Really? Nobody's on? You are killing me, folks. All right. Any raid suggestions, drop them in chat for me. Let's see who we've got online tonight. Bash is always online. She's always working on something. Who else is over in software and game dev, right? Actually, to it. Let's go see who's over in science and tech, because I do like my science and tech folks. Let's see, Brightthorn's on, and then astronomy show. Sid's online, also working on something, so we could always go raid Sid. He's a good time. And there's some ASMR person talking about Pluto. I'm gonna keep Brightthorn and Sid on the back category. Let's see what else we got. Winding Maze, C++ dev, modeling, and Godotting. Got one guy doing a cheat code contest. What we go raid out to? Some guy's doing a vibe coding session from a cafe in Japan. Is that a cafe? Looks like a cafe. I'll tell you what, let's just go see who got followed. We could also do a DJ stream. Tay's online. She always makes really good mixes. Oh, you know what? Hypnotic's online. I haven't raided over to him in a while. He's a fun guy. Yeah. We'll go right over to Hypnotic Games. He's doing a little bit. Of course, he's AFK right now. Perfect. It'll still work. All right, my folks. That is it for tonight. Wait, that's the wrong button. Where is it? Stream ending. Cool. We're getting a little bit more functionality in here. I think we've got a better way to address those tasks once we assign them over to the language model. We'll have some good time with it, and we'll get that fixed up. Everyone, I hope you'll have a very, very, very happy Easter tomorrow. For those of you like 57 who are already happy in Easter, happy day for you. And Julio, thanks for hanging out, man. I saw you on here, man. Feel free to chat, bro. You can ask questions. See you later, Hacksaw. Dude, I'm total like script kitty Hacksaw. Just now I get to write the scripts, bro. That's all there is to it. Everyone, I hope you'll have a fantastic night. Keep kicking ass. You know I have faith in you. And I want you all to remember one thing, and that is, I love you. Peace.